welcome back to Black Coffee and Grits. I'm Lisa. Happy New Year. I'm enjoying the last few hours with the Christmas tree, and I hope you'll enjoy it with me. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. December flew by, and I was very productive. I got so much accomplished. Was sitting here looking back at my notes, thinking about what I wanted to tell you and getting out all the things. And I have a lot of finishes to show you, some FFOs, and a lot of whips too. I got into some things. So I'm just gonna jump right in. I don't think enough words or time to tell you all the things I did in the month of December. It was very busy, but I will just tell you quickly that I enjoyed my Christmas and my break and my time with my boys. With my friends, I was able to do several stitching meetups, one up at Boxcar with some sweet friends, stitchy friends, and a coffee meetup with Michelle and Daisy. That was a lot of fun. We had to go to Summer Moon and have some of that delicious moon milk. And what else? Oh, a stitching day. So there was a sewing day in there too, which was extra special because my friends Brooke from Stitch by the Brook and Krista from the Wildflower Stitcher were able to come and join us for two whole days of sewing in Dallas. So that was a lot of fun. We actually made like a sleepover of it because it was just deemed necessary for the Christmas holiday. It was like part of our celebration. So it was awesome. If you'll notice, I got a little haircut. Actually, I got a ton of hair cut off, and I love it. I don't know why I decided to grow my hair out. I traditionally don't really like long hair. It just drives me crazy. I think it's pretty. It's beautiful on other people. It drives me nuts, and I ended up putting it in a ponytail just to get it off my neck. And especially here in Texas, it's hot. So it's even been hot. We were wearing shorts on Christmas, you guys, on Christmas Eve, and I think on Christmas Day too. It's been kind of crazy, like unseasonably warm. We've had some cold days mixed in, which is like also not really fun. I'm trying to not be whiny, but the sunshine is beautiful and nice, but when you yo-yo back and forth between 30 degrees and 80 degrees, it's like you don't know how to dress or how to make the bed or where to put the thermostat. It's like it's going back and forth between air conditioning and heating, and you know how it is. Okay, let's jump right in. I am so eager to tell you all the things about December, and also I want to film a whip parade for my end of year whips. So I don't know if that's going to happen today. I set out this morning thinking that I was going to try to accomplish videoing both, but I don't know if that's humanly possible. It's a lot of work to film a floss tube. I'm sure if you have one, you know. But if you don't know, because you don't have a floss tube, it's a lot of work. You have to get out all the things. You make a big giant mess. In fact, I was getting anxiety getting it all out. I don't know why. I think because I was making a mess. Whew. Anyway, let me show you some beautiful FFOs. I was able to FFO this finally. And I made it into a wreath. This is Summer House Stitchworks Winter Cometh. And I thought this turned out so super cute. I had stitched this up, I think, at the beginning of January, maybe I finished it. How does a year go by and it's just like poof, whew, I don't remember what happened in January. That seems like such a long time ago. But I loved how this little wreath turned out. I do remember that a sweet friend, Stitchy Sarah Reeds, she gifted me the pattern for this as well as the silks. I stitched it with the Bellswa silks, and it turned out just beautiful. Put it on a grapevine wreath that I'd gotten from Hobby Lobby or Michael's, and then just added the bow and these little, affectionately known as doodads by me and Michelle. I don't know what they are. They're like thistles, but they're blue. And then I added some velvet trim. This trim came from Hobby Lobby. I do know that. And I do love that. I just think it's so perfect for winter because it Even though in Texas, I just told you it's burning up. I feel like velvet feels warm, and you should be cozying up in winter. Now I'm going to be popping in a picture of a piece that I stitched as a gift for my friend Michelle. And this piece could not be more perfect for her. Found this cute little Lizzie Kate chart in my stash. Let's see, what is it even called? Home is the nicest word there is. I thought maybe it might be shortened, but it wasn't. This is perfect for Michelle. Michelle and I, we affectionately talk about how great home is, how much we love to spend time at home, how the home water is the best, how the home coffee is the best because it's made with the home water. You get the theme. This was perfect for her. So I stitched this up for her. She stitched something up for me, and I'm going to show it to you even though I didn't finish this. This is something she gifted to me, and I don't know whose pattern this is. I feel like this is Plum Street. I'll pop it in the notes, or I'll pop it down below because I don't remember. But she stitched this for me, and this is so adorable. I love it so much, Michelle. Thank you. This is the cutest little donkey with the snowman, and I love his little wreath around his neck. And Michelle FFO'd this, and I was thinking a lot about how we've grown this year and how we've spent so much time together, and how when I first met Michelle, she was scared to FFO, and I helped her. I guess we had kind of an FFO day, and now she's FFOing all by herself. I just think that's awesome. She made this all by herself without my knowing. She was a super secret stitcher. So thanks again, Michelle. I love it so much. And what else did I finish? Oh, I had one more finish. I did this at the sew day. Forgive my reaching. I have tables everywhere because I committed to sitting by the Christmas tree because I just wanted to. And now I have these little tables all around me, but I finally FFO'd this. Speaking of Lizzie Kate, this is another Lizzie Kate piece. This is called Sampler Claus. And this had been in my pile of finished stitching for quite some time. And I love it so much. I love the Santa and his robe and the flowers. I love all the little sampler pieces, the gift, the wreath, the little peppermint candies, the little candle, the bird. It's just everything, right? And like I said, I stitched this a while back. I can't even remember when. It maybe had been 2 years ago. I decided to FFO this using a method that Katie from So Tattered showed a tutorial for how to do. And I used chenille, so it's like a little trim. And traditionally this is used on quilts, and when you wander the quilt, it like puffs up. But Katie showed a tutorial for using it on cross stitch pieces and just using a brush to fluff it up. So I did that, and I think it turned out really cute. And I used just some scrap fabric on the back, some little polka dots, and I was glad to get that FFO'd. And I tried really hard to listen to Katie and not overthink it, but I decided that I'm an overthinker. Are you like that? I definitely am. Everything Katie does turns out cute. She's so talented. What else did I finish? I finished stitching a pig, and I finished stitching this with Kate. Well, actually, I started it with Katie. Katie and my friend Lisa L. Snaps and Michelle, making it with Michelle, we all met up at Boxcar for a sew day, a stitching day. It was a stitching day. It was cross stitch, and that was a lot of fun. And they had cocoa, and it was toward the beginning of the month, so it just kind of helped us get in the spirit. So I started this Prairie Schooler ornament. Let me see. Oh my gosh, all my bags are behind me. I do have the bag for this though. I'm gonna grab it because I don't remember the name of this book. You guys would just laugh if you saw this mess. I have stuff falling around me. I told my son, I don't know if this is a good idea or a bad idea whenever I was starting to set up. And bless his little heart, he was just in here having a good old time playing with the dog. And I was like, shoo, get out. A very cute bag gifted to me by Kathy, my friend of 2 needles pulling thread. And I immediately put this in there. This is the Prairie Schooler Barnyard Christmas. I couldn't remember what it was called. Barnyard Christmas, and it has all these cute little animal ornaments on it. I stitched the pig this year, as I said, and I was showing you, with all the called for DMCs. And I love this color palette. It's not black coffee and grits, but it's more sepia toned, and it's really fun. And last year I stitched the cow, and I love the way it turned out. And I think I haven't completely FFO'd this. I'll give away my secrets and show you the back, but I think what I want to do is order some more of these little hoops. I tried these out. I think I got these from 123 Stitch. This is a 6-inch. It's kind of like a faux wood. It's really plastic, but it has a wood finish. And then I think I'm going to put some sort of cute bow on these and a hanger. So what do you think? I haven't ordered that, obviously. But hey, I got an ornament finished, and that was one of my goals for December. Okay, I feel like I need to make some piles, or there's going to be a gigantic avalanche. What should I stitch next year? There's so many cute little critters. There's the lamb or the ewe, a rooster, a chicken, a cat, a dog, and a horse. They're all adorable. I think eventually I will stitch them all. I guess I'm showing bags. I'll also show off this one because this was gifted to me from my friend Michelle. Isn't it cute? It's got those little puppies on it. I wasn't necessarily planning to show project bags, but I appreciate when people make things for me, and I think that's such a nice and kind thing to do. So I wanted to show them off. Let's see, what's next? I had another finish, but not FFO. I didn't quite get around to FFOing this. Although I do have the frame for it. I just didn't get to it. You guys are gonna laugh at me. Okay. I started stitching this last year and I didn't FFO or didn't finish it. So I picked it back up. This is Joy to the World by Emily Call. And I haven't been telling you guys fabrics because most of those finishes were older and I don't remember. But I do know what the fabric for this is. This is Night Sky by Fiber on a Whim. And it's 32 count. And I stitched it 2/2. And I did pick my own colors for this. So I just picked colors from Stash. And I absolutely love the way it turned out. I am a little disappointed in myself that I didn't get this FFO'd because I found the perfect frame. Let me see if I can hold this up. So Michelle and I went up to the Peanut Gallery the day that we went to meet up with Katie and Lisa at Boxcar. And we picked up some of her finishing, and they have some ready-made frames, and they had this one, and I thought it was just perfect with that kind of purpley red. It drew out the color in the flowers and in Mary's robe. So I need to get that completely finished. Okay, you might ask me, what on earth was I distracted by this month besides the holidays? And I'll tell you, there was a small detour in the cross stitch crafting. I picked up knitting, of all things. I haven't knitted in a long, long time. I know that when I was younger, my grandma, my Nami, my dad's mom, she knitted a lot. She made us all Afghans, beautiful blankets, and I remember her knitting, and I remember my mom's mom, my nanny, knitting and crocheting. She was like, she quilted, she did all the things. I remember her and maybe my Aunt Vicky teaching me to crochet. And I remember not being very good at it because I was too tight with it. But everyone keeps posting these pictures of socks on Instagram and showing them on their floss tubes. And I'm obsessed with the socks. I think they're so stinking cute. So I was like, I want to knit some socks. Michelle was like, ma'am, did you forget to tell me something? Because her sister, Jessica, is a prolific knitter. She loves all kinds of fiber arts. She weaves and she knits, and she's always knitting. And so, not really meaning to secretly message Jessica, but I had messaged Jessica and asked her, would she teach me to knit? And so Michelle pulled out some knitting too, and we ended up going to, actually, I think I went to like 3 knitting meetups in the month of December. So I was busy a lot. So Jessica started me out knitting a hat, and she actually helped me like cast on, and she helped me get all this ribbon going, and then basically all I did was like knit. And I did make some boo-boos along the way. But Jessica to the rescue. She's a knitting wizard, and she fixed it. She fixed whatever I boo-booed up. You know how it is when you drop some stitches or whatever. But anyway, I actually finished this little toddler hat, and I'm going to give it to my neighbors. And I love how it turned out. And Will kept coming in my sewing room, and he was really checking up on me to see if I was knitting or if I was working on his elk piece, which I did not end up getting that completely finished, as you can see. But I did make a lot of good progress on it. And so he was like, is that for me, that hat? And he really liked it. And I was like, no, it's too small. And so I detoured again, and instead of finishing his elk piece, I knitted another hat. And I made it hunter's orange for Will. And we're not going to zoom in on this hat, and we're not going to look too closely. And I'll just go ahead and tell you, I was near tears on Christmas Eve because I was supposed to be knitting this, and I was trying so hard to finish it for a Christmas gift, which was silly in hindsight. When you are learning to make something, maybe you shouldn't do it as a gift, but you know, when your kid asks you for something, you just say yes. So this was a really fun little pattern that Jessica thought would be an easy one for me, and it would teach me to knit and purl, which it did. I just wasn't very good at following the pattern. So I started making mistakes when I got to the decreasing, and I was literally so close to finishing this. So it really disappointed me and upset me, but she helped me get it finished. And like I said, I'm not showing it to you up close, and it's not going in the county fair. Let's just say I'm going to need a little bit more practice before I make any songs. But I successfully made 2 hats that actually can be worn, and Will wore this one a little bit, and I think it's cute. I mean, actually most of the mistakes are up toward the top, so when it's on, you can't really see the boo-boos. So I'm always tattling off on myself. And really, I do that because A, if you can't laugh at yourself, you're really seriously going to cry, but also because I just want to encourage other people to try something new and fail. It's okay. In fact, Jessica told me that's how you learn. And it's the truth. It's like, you've got to make some mistakes. And especially with knitting, I found that like you had to get pretty far into it before you could see what you were actually doing, what you were creating. So thank you, Jessica, for being such a sweet teacher and for all your patience and help with the knitting projects. And now we shall get into our whips, okay? Actually, I never showed you my book of days. This isn't a book of days. It's such a habit to call it that. I apologize, Katie. This is from Katie, the Naptime Stitcher. This is her cross-stitch planner. And I actually did print out her cross-stitch planner for 2026 as well. So I really love this. I love the organization of it, the layout, the extra pages, and you can just print it yourself. And then I had it spiral bound at FedEx, which was like, I think $7 or something, pretty inexpensive. So I printed mine out on cardstock paper, which I have enjoyed. So there were a lot of days of knitting and a lot of days of crafting. And oh, I mentioned to you last month that Will and I were going to spend every Friday night until the Christmas season watching Christmas movies. And so we kept up with that pretty well. We watched Home Alone was the first one we watched, and I think I already told you guys that. And then we watched The Grinch, the animated one, not the one with the mean Jim Carrey. I don't like him because he's mean to the dog. So we watched The Grinch, and we always love that movie, and we laugh, and we have a good time watching it. And then Will was playing video games with friends one night, and so actually he might have been gone with Tyler the night that I decided, no, I know what it was. He was playing video games that one night. And so then the next night that they were gone out, they were doing something. Santa brought compound bows for both Tyler and Will. And so they were hanging out and practicing with the compound bows. And they had to go and get those set up at the shop. So that was awesome, and they loved it. But while they were gone and I had the house to myself, I watched something kind of sappy, and it was Miracle on 34th Street. And I had seen that one before, but it had been a really long time, so I enjoyed that. I think that little girl is so cute. And then we watched Claus with a K, and it's another animated movie, and I had never seen it before. Michelle recommended it, and Will and I loved it. It was really good. So if you haven't seen that one, we would recommend it. And then on Christmas Eve, we ended up going to my mom's house and hanging out and playing games, and we stayed up past my bedtime. But Tyler and I got home, and Will was off doing something, probably, who knows, messing around video games. But he wasn't interested in a Christmas movie that night. So I said, let's watch Four Christmases. That's the one with Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon. And it's so funny. And so we had a lot of fun laughing at that one. I'm dropping my notes in the floor. Sorry about that. I had all these notes and probably haven't even looked at them once. That's how Lisa rolls. Okay, let's get to these whips. I'm going to show you the American elk first. I felt kind of bad that I didn't get this finished, but you know, it happens. Let me move all these finishes. Maybe I can make another table. I have all that lovely knitting over there, and I'm trying not to get the grapevine wreath like tangled up in the knitting, even though that orange hat, it probably wouldn't hurt it. Oh, I gotta grab the whips. Hold on. So, you know me, I love to iron my whips, and so I did that all except for the elk because I did not take it out of the hoop, and I'm not planning to take it out of the hoop. And I'll tell you a funny story. Remember, I was trying to keep it a secret what I was stitching. But one day, Will came in the sewing room. Actually, I think maybe it might have been a day that Michelle came over and we were stitching in the living room. And I wasn't even thinking because the top part of the pattern is the part that shows the elk. And I was stitching on the bottom part of the pattern. But it says right here, American elk. And so he saw it. And so the secret was out. But this is what I'm stitching for Will. This is the elk piece from Wild Animals of North America by designs by Gloria and Pat. And I got pretty far on it actually. Now, had I not detoured into knitting, I probably couldn't have finished this, but there's a lot of dent stitching in the bottom where all of the landscape is. So I did start a little bit on the elk's legs. So here's where I am. I'm stitching this on a piece of 32 count Cypress by Fiber on a Whim. And I love the fabric color. It's kind of a blue, green, gray, like dusty color, but it's really pretty. And then I'm using the called for DMCs for it. So I think I told you all the things about that. Haven't been doing a great job of telling you all the details on all those other things because they were old and I don't remember. Okay, these are all the beautiful DMC flosses. So it's lovely, and I will get back to that. I did feel pretty accomplished. I actually made some other sewing projects, which I guess I can talk about as well. After I finish showing these whips, I'll show you pictures of a couple other projects I made for Christmas. Okay, let me see if I can not make a total disaster of this. Plus, I'm going to film a whip parade, so I got to keep all these neatly ironed so they're not, so I don't have to re-iron them. Okay, so as you know, I had 1,000,001 projects I was making as Christmas gifts. So I didn't actually stitch that much on Christmas whips, but Michelle was stitching on this, and actually she got a finish on this. This is Peace and Goodwill by With Thy Needle and Thread. And I started this last year with my friends Krista and Brooke, and then Michelle was stitching it too. So I wanted to stitch on it a little bit more, at least put in, I think I put on it in a day or two. The day I took Dad to the eye doctor, I worked on it. I'm stitching mine on a piece of 32 count old lace, antique lace, excuse me, by Seraphim. And I was working on these Quaker motifs at the top, the red ones. So, yeah. I'm loving how the colors are turning out, and I love this fabric so much. So we'll keep going on that, and that'll get picked back up next year. I did decide to work on a couple more Christmas whips. I didn't, I should have just finished this, but I was jumping around like a frog. What did I do with the pattern for this? Oh. It was in a project bag that was on the floor. Because I put things back in the wrong project bag. This is gonna be a mess. What's new? This is Be Merry by Emily Call. And I started this last year, so I'm still stitching on it, but I was just sitting here looking at it, and there's not a whole lot left to finish. I think they're just, maybe just snowflakes left to finish. I'm stitching this on a piece of 32 count Bramble by Picture This Plus. And I just pulled my colors from Stash since this was such a small piece. I did love Emily's colors, so I used the inspiration for her colors, but just pulled from Stash. So it's a mix of DMCs and overdyes. What else do I need to tell you? My fabric, I finally cut it down. And I'm going to tell you something I learned about myself. Why don't I cut my fabric down quicker? Because I like it so much better when I don't have a big gigantic piece of fabric to wrestle when I'm stitching. I don't know. Okay, 3 more Christmas whips that I put some time in on. One of them is gigantic. I couldn't possibly be less organized. I don't have the pattern in here because I was working on this right up until I started filming this video. This I'll pop in a picture of. This is Little House Needleworks Farmhouse Christmas, and it's a 9-patch, I'm going to call it 9-patch. It's 9-chart pattern that you stitch all together if you want to. And I decided to take out the quilt block and stitch this all long ways in one big long piece like a village. And so I got another block finish. And speaking of, Joy from Carolina Stitchers, and I think Missy from 2 Needles Pulling Thread also started this building block sale back, oh my gosh, I don't even remember when, at some point over the year. And so I was using the hashtag on this for the building block sale, and it felt so good to get another block finished. So I worked on the block with the little gal and her little, I was laughing because she's got to drag that big Christmas tree through that tiny door of her little cabin up there. I don't think she's going to fit, even if she goes on the Whole30 diet. That's what I was joking about the other day. So there she is. And of course, I had these other 3 blocks finished previously, and there are 4 more blocks to go. So, working so hard to not put wrinkles in this, and we'll fold it because I want to show it in my whip parade as well. Don't worry, there will be plenty more whips to see besides these that I'm showing now. I think I have close to 50 whips. I haven't done all my calculating for like everything that I've finished this year, but I'm curious, do you do that? I like to, as I'm thinking about, you know, the year, I like to like go back and count and see what all I accomplished. Okay, 2 more whips. This one is multiple charts. I can't get them out of the bag fast enough. Sorry. Do forgive. This is the Lizzie Kate series called Christmas Rules. And I am stitching it like this big, long set of quote-unquote Christmas rules. So there are 6 of these cutie little charts, and each one of them has 2 patterns. And I worked on the cookies. Oh, here we go. Give Santa cookies and milk. And I think I got a finish on that little block. This should go for the building block sale too, huh? I mean, kind of. Okay, I'm stitching this on a piece of 32 count Bramble by Picture This Bless, and I'm stitching it with a mix of flosses. Some of them are the called for Weeks Dye Works. Some of them are substituted color and cotton flosses that are similar to what's called for. And I think that covers it. Is that really true? Oh, I used black coffee. Yes, the rest of them are the Weeks or substituted color and cotton flosses because I didn't have all of the Weeks Dye Works and I was pulling from stash. I was being a good girl. So this is how far I've gotten. And that little block probably took like a day and a half. So you can actually finish these pretty quickly. And I decided that for plans like going into 2026, because I really want to finish some of these Christmas whips, and I always feel like the season is busy and then you're making gifts and whatever else you're doing, wrapping gifts and meeting up with friends and going to parties and shopping and cooking and all that. So I decided that on the 25th of each month, I'm going to pull out this Christmas Rules until I get it finished. And so hopefully after like 6 months, I'll have this done. And then I'm going to move on to the Farmhouse Christmas and work on it next because I really want to knock those out. I shouldn't say it like that. I do want to knock them out, but I also just want them displayed in my house. Like, I think they're so cute and I love them so much. So I want to get finished so I can enjoy it. Okay, last but not least, I spent some time on Winter Traditions sampler, and this is a SAL with my friend Krista, the Wildflower Stitcher. So we're using the hashtag Winter Traditions Sampler, SAL, S-A-L. And we loosely use the word SAL because it's more of a start along than it is a stitch along. So we started this last year. I think Missy from Two Needles Pulling Thread jumped in, and maybe Brooke, Stitch by the Brook, is doing this series as well. I can't remember, but I know Krista for sure and Missy are stitching it. And I love this series. I'm working on the autumn and winter, and I also have summer and spring, but I haven't started those yet. So I'm stitching this on a piece of 32 count ale by Picture This Plus, and I love the fabric. I think it's beautiful. And I started in the bottom left-hand corner because I wanted to stitch the deer really bad. And I got that done, and I think I worked on filling in the house, and then I worked on the border. And I worked on the border and decided that that's a good thing for me to do, like when I need to zone out and not think too hard. So I think I took it to a stitching meetup with friends and worked on it. So it got all the way to the end. So now I can cut my fabric. Now, have I cut it yet? No, I have not. But I should, because I learned that I like it when my fabric is cut. Okay, I'm going to pause for a second and put these over on the table so they don't get wrinkled. Okay, I mentioned that I worked on a couple of other sewing projects for friends, and so I'm going to pop in a picture of this cute little bag, a little gift bag. I actually made it kind of as a knitting bag for Jessica as a way to say thank you for helping me learn to knit. And I followed the Erica Arndt tutorial. She was making some little gift bags for, I think, an Advent is what she said. And so I just followed her tutorial but made mine bigger. And it was pretty simple. I was laughing because, you know, the curse of the bobbin, like your bobbin always runs out on the literal last like seam that you're making on a project. And that seems to always happen to me. So, of course, that did happen. And anyway, it was a super easy little project, and I think maybe I'd like to make some more of those, but maybe make some of them with like kind of, I don't know if you call it a gusset, a flat bottom is what I want to make. I'm sure there's some great sewing term for that I don't know. Additionally, I made this for my friend Krista, the Wildflower Stitcher. It is a project mat, and I was so proud of this because I did some of my best sewing work on this. And again, thank you and shout out to my friend Michelle because she has encouraged me and taught me so much about sewing over the last year. And between her and tutorials, also, she doesn't have a Juki, so sometimes I get on and I'll get on the Juki tutorials and find little tips and tricks, but Michelle encouraged me to save binding and to make extra binding, and so I actually, between some scraps and some things that I had in stash, which felt amazing to get to use those things and not have to rush out to the store and buy more, or make up binding because it was already made, I was able to do one of the prettiest bindings that I have done thus far. And I bought a left compensating foot, and I learned about that, I think, from Juki Junkies, I'm pretty sure. And they have a little binding tutorial, and so I did this sewing method for the binding, and it was on par. So I hope Krista enjoyed that. Beautiful little sewing mat. I had fun making it. And what else? Let me see. I better check my notes. I feel like I could sit here and tell you a billion things because it was such a busy month. Let me show you a tiny bit of haul. I did not shop much this month, with the exception of quilt fabrics, but I'm not going to show those because they've already been put away into stash. But for Christmas, right before Christmas, You know, when you turn the year and you're starting to think about goals and what you want to do, and I was like, I want to really try to not buy so much next year. I really want to try to stitch from stash. I really want to try to finish some whips. And so I placed one more order from One Two Three Stitch. Oh my gosh, there's another sewing project here. I forgot about this. In that one more order, I bought a couple more Nerds hoops. I'll just put my little head in here. I have one this size already and I use it a lot. I wanted to try this larger one. Mixed feelings about it. It's a little bit wide for my reach, but I can see it being useful, so I'm glad I got it. So Santa brought me some hoops. Santa. And Santa helped me finish kitting up a project that I want to start next year, which I'd already mentioned it to you, but I didn't have the pattern yet, so I'd like to show the pattern. It is, oops, let me take it out of this plastic. I have the ring light set up, so it's got a little bit of glare on it with the plastic. A peacock, a unicorn, and a badger, also affectionately known as the peacorn. And this is from the Scarlet Letter. Yes, the Scarlet Letter. I wanted to make sure I was telling you that right. And I saw Hobbies of Holly stitching this, and I know several other people have stitched it as well, but she was definitely giving me stitch envy. And I think I showed you this last time, but I'll just show it again since I'm showing the pattern and everything. This is the fabric I picked out for it, which I thought was just beautiful. This is a piece of hand-dyed fabrics by Stephanie, 32 count glassed, G-L-A-S-T, glassed. And I got it from Shepherd's Needle in Arkansas, in Little Rock, Arkansas, on my way back from stitching in the Smokies, and kitted it up with all of the called for DMCs. It's a lot of floss and some beautiful colors. Oh my goodness. Look at those bright, bright yellows. And I love the teals and the greens. Where's that? And that bright blue. Ooh, aren't this fun? I get excited about floss. Don't you? I'm sure you do. If you are a cross stitch enthusiast, you probably get excited about floss. So this is going to be a super fun reward, something that I will start on in the future, but not immediately. And I'll tell you why. This will lead into talking about plans. Let me show you this bag real quick, because I made this bag particularly for this project. And this is sewn up with the fabric line Night Owl by Gingiber. And this is one of the things I made at our stitch day or sew day. And I used the Lori Holt zippers, and inside I used those little snails, the snail fabric. I love how this turned out. I haven't ever done the patchwork at the top before, and I think it's super cute. Probably, again, my best work, my best bag to date. I guess it just gets easier with practice. And so I'll encourage you to keep trying new things and to keep practicing if you're not perfect at it right away. So talking about plans. Oh, I want to show you one more gift. This has been sitting here at my feet. This is something my husband got me for Christmas. This is an antique washboard. And I told him I just wanted something old and metal to put needle minders on. So I'm hanging, I actually already had one of these. And so he got me a second one, and I just have these hanging up in my sewing room with needle minders. So just kind of a fun idea for something old repurposed. And thank you, honey, for the washboard. Okay, so plans. Like I said, one of my goals for 2026 is going to be just to buy less. And so I want to stitch from stash unless I just need something to finish the project. I'm really going to try to do that. And I want to work on whips. And so I'm not going to let myself start something new until I've finished 2 projects. I know. And I have a ton of big projects in progress. So you'll see that when you see my whip braid. I'm trying not to plan my fun too much, but I think that's a good goal and just broad. And I think each month I'm going to try to focus on just one BAP until I'm just kind of tired of it. And so then I can bounce around and stitch on what I want, but trust me, I got plenty of whips to choose from. And I was looking at kits, and I have a ton of kits and things kitted up from last year this year, 2025, that I didn't get to. And so, yeah, I'm going to try my best to stick to that. Checking my list. I talked about that. Books. I actually got some reading time in this month, or in December, and that was fun. So I feel like every Christmas, inevitably, we end up watching all the Harry Potter movies. And I think it's because in that first one, there's that whole Christmas scene. And then we've just, like, once you fall down the rabbit hole of watching the Harry Potters, you can't not watch the Harry Potters. So some of it I was just listening to, but that's still enough for me because it's such a fun story. And it got me thinking, I want to read those books again. So as soon as I finished The Man Who Died Twice, which was the murder mystery from the series The Thursday Murder Club, I started Harry Potter. But let's talk about The Man Who Died Twice. This is a series by Richard Osman. This is the second book in this series. I think there are 5 total. And there's also a Netflix, I think, show or maybe movie about the first book. The characters in it are hysterical. They're British, and it's just a really funny group of characters. They're older, they're in a retirement village, and one of the ladies is a spy, supposed to be a retired spy, but I think they're just bored. And so they form the Thursday Murder Club. And so they're solving all these mysteries, and they're just a hoot. I've really enjoyed the books. So I finished book 2, and I will definitely read book 3. I have it. I think I signed up for it on my Libby app. So as soon as it becomes available from the library, I can't remember if I think I decided I was going to try to listen to the audiobook and see how I liked it. Sometimes I like audiobooks. Okay, so I love that series. And if you like a little mystery with some comedy, it's not too serious, it's not too graphic. It's just the right amount of mystery and funny. I think you'll enjoy that series. So next was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and I actually read the old-fashioned book. I don't actually have the book down here, so I'm just going to pop in a picture of it. But I was reading that at night, and I all 2025, I was reading real paper books, which was kind of different for me because in 2024, I listened to a lot of audiobooks. But by the time the end of the year came, I realized I didn't read as much because I didn't listen to as many audiobooks throughout the year. Probably watched a whole lot more Flosstube, which is totally fine, and it was fun and 0 regrets. But if you haven't already read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, if you've never read the books and you've only watched the movies, the books were really fun, and they're still fun to go back and read, even if you know what's going to happen. It's an easy read, and the character development is just so sweet, and I love it. And obviously, Hogwarts is something that is I don't know, just fun to think about. I'm not really a sci-fi kind of a gal, It's not my genre. So would you classify Harry Potter, the series, as sci-fi? Because it's, or is it fantasy because of the wizards and the witches? I'm not really sure. I should probably look that up. It makes me curious. But at any rate, it's a great series. And I flew through that first book. So the second one's sitting on my nightstand. I'll get started on that tonight, I'm sure. And in the meantime, I decided, haven't listened to an audiobook in a while. I'm going to start a new audiobook. So while I was stitching the last few days, I have been listening to Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. And this popped up in a couple of different, I don't know, book reviews or things we think you might like, or maybe I saw some other people who had like recommended it, but it was available, like immediately available audiobook. And so I thought, I'm gonna give that a try. And I love Meryl Streep, and she is the one who's reading it, and her voice is fabulous. And this is a book that's set back in 2020. That sounds like a time so far away, right? But it's kind of interesting because, you know, it's not really like heavily focused on that as the topic. It's just interwoven in the story as a, like, just what brought the family back together. And so the mother and her daughters and her husband, they have a farm in Michigan. I say farm loosely. It's mostly they're picking cherries. They have a cherry orchard and other fruits and whatever have yous. But she's telling a story about her past. She was an actress. And so the girls are like so interested to hear her story. And it's been really awesome. I have not wanted to, quote unquote, put it down. I haven't wanted to stop listening to it. I think I'm about halfway through it already. And I love it so far. So if, I guess more next month about how I liked the end of it. But thus far, I'm really enjoying the storytelling. So, what else? Have I said all the things? I think I did. I think I checked all the boxes. In the notes, you will find details about the patterns, who, the pattern makers, things I stitched, and you'll find details about the books if you're interested in those, as well as the floss tubes that I mentioned, or Flosstubers that I've mentioned. And I try to also put in links to those tutorials that I mentioned, so I'll try to make sure to do that, as well as some hashtags for those sales, the stitch alongs. And we'd love to have you join us if you aren't already, or maybe you're already stitching and that's totally fine, but use the hashtag and say, hey, I want to show you mine, and share it with me, because I love that. And we can keep up with progress. And I will try to do a better job of keeping up with Instagram photos. I know I have been sort of dropped the ball on that the last half of the year. Here's the thing though. I know I took really good pictures whenever I did my mid-year whip parade. So, and I think I did last year when I did my whip parade, I took pictures. I'm not 100% sure about that, but it will be interesting to see in the whip parade that I'm about to film how much progress got made in a year. So, if you like a whip parade, stay tuned because I will have a whip parade for you shortly. Okay? And otherwise, there will be a January recap video toward the end of the month, either end of January or 1st of February. So thanks for watching, and I hope you're having a wonderful new year. I'll see you soon. Bye. Happy stitching, friends.